สวัสดีค่ะแขกผู้มีเกียรติทุกท่านนะคะต้องก่อนอื่นขอบพระคุณทุกท่านนะคะที่ฝ่ารถติดมาวันนี้เข้าใจว่ารถติดพอสมควรกับบางท่านอาจจะหลงไปที่เดอะไนน์ห้างนะคะเกิดขึ้นกับตัวเองมาแล้วก็ค่ะวันนี้ต้องขอบพระคุณก่อนอื่นขอบพระคุณทุกท่านอีกครั้งที่มาร่วมในงานสัมมนาเว็บไซต์ Blogging A Tool to Preserve Morality and Boost Digital Economy นะคะวันนี้เราได้รับเกียรติจากท่านสุรังคนาวายุภาพค่ะผู้อำนวยการสำนักงานพัฒนาธุรกรรมทางอิเล็กทรอนิกส์มาให้เกียรติกล่าวเปิดงานในวันนี้ค่ะ
ขอบคุณพวกเราทุกๆคนนะคะขอบคุณท่านวิทยากรแล้วก็อันนี้เป็น Open Forum ของ ETDA นะคะเป็นบทบาทหนึ่งที่รัฐพยายามที่จะกระตุ้นและส่งเสริมให้เกิดการคุยกันทางวิชาการการคุยกันในหัวข้อที่น่าสนใจนะคะเรามีกันทุกสัปดาห์นะคะโดยเฉพาะวันเสาร์เนี่ยเรามีทุกสัปดาห์ในเรื่องของกฎหมายดิจิทัลเสาร์นี้จะเป็นการพูดถึงเรื่องของกฎหมายข้อมูลส่วนบุคคลเอาร่างเปิดเผยเป็นครั้งแรกนะคะแล้วก็สำหรับหัวข้อวันนี้ก็เช่นเดียวกันเรื่องแค่ชื่อหัวข้อก็ชาเลนจ์แล้วนะคะเป็นอะไรที่ก็มีการวิจารณ์เหมือนกันว่าแม้อ่านชื่อแล้วเว็บไซต์ blogging เขาก็วิจารณ์กันในเว็บไซต์พอสมควรหรือใน Facebook พอสมควรนะคะแล้วก็มันเป็นหัวข้อที่ท้าทายวันนี้เราก็ได้วิเคราะห์ดีๆมาพูดให้พวกเราฟังก็ขออนุญาตสุรังคนาวายุภาพขออนุญาตฝาก ETDA ไว้กับพวกเราด้วยนะคะเราเพิ่งเปิดตัวไม่นานเพราะว่า3 ปี 4 ปีที่ผ่านมาเราทำงานหลังบ้านหมดเลยนะคะวันนี้เราออกมาทำงานหน้าบ้านแล้วเปิดตัวกับภาคสังคมแล้วนะคะจึงเวลคัมทุกๆคนก็ขออนุญาตเปิดงานเลยค่ะ
Photo session ขอถ่ายรูปนิดนึงอ๋อไม่เป็นไรค่ะ
Yes, you try. Can't get rid of it.
ค่ะขอบพระคุณสุรังคณานะคะหัวข้อบรรยายในวันนี้นะคะจะเป็นภาษาอังกฤษทั้งหมดนะคะหลังจากจบการบรรยายเดี๋ยวสโมจะ wrap up เป็นภาษาไทยให้สำหรับคำถามถ้ามีคำถามถามตอนช่วง Q&A หรือระหว่างที่ผู้บรรยายได้เลยนะคะแล้วก็ตัว presentation วันนี้เนี่ยรวมถึงการ presentation ในวันนี้เนี่ยทุกอย่างเนี่ยเป็น live broadcast ทาง YouTube ด้วยนะคะ presentation สามารถดาวน์โหลดได้ที่ทางเว็บไซต์ของ ETDA IP Law Center นะคะทุกท่านเข้าไปดึงไปดูตรงนั้นได้เลยค่ะสำหรับในเซสฮัลโหลค่ะในเซสชันแรกนะคะเป็นคุณอังจาก IFPI Regional Director Hello.
Hello. Right. Good morning. Thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. I will start by sharing with you a broad overview of the state of the global music recorded music industry, and then deal with some questions that are normally raised when we talk about copyright, whether the public is knowledgeable about copyright, what happens when they engage in piracy, and then share with you some developments regarding website blocking in our region as well as in other parts of the world. So let me jump straight into it. So a global overview of the recorded music industry. You will see from this, I have figures until 2013. We are finalizing our figures for 2014, and I can share with you that it doesn't look nice. Okay, it continues to drop. Naturally, I think you know the sale of physical copies of music continues to go down because people are switching to digital music. But the digital music portion is really not catching up at all. And so the question, you can see that from year 2000, 1999 onwards, one way down, around 1999, it is mainly all physical products, so it's CDs, cassettes, music videos, and so on. By 2013, and the picture is the same for 2014, only a fraction remains for the physical. The blue color one is the physical. And then this is digital income, about 6 billion, and then other sources of income at the top. So the state of the recorded music industry is really very, very serious. Just one way down, and I think the US market this year is either sort of anemic or down because of the switch from downloads towards a subscription model. Germany is growing slightly, Japan is down, so you're talking of the big three markets that are really not doing so well. What is the reason? Okay, now we know that music is used a lot more now. Okay, you get onto the train here, you see a lot of people listening to music. You go to websites, everybody put music on their either their personal UGC sites or public sites. You find music being used almost everywhere. So the use of music, I don't think anyone here will disagree with me this morning when I say the use and consumption of music has gone up compared to 10, 15 years ago. But the state of the global recorded music industry is down. And I think the main reason really is still digital piracy. Neil will talk about the impact on the audiovisual side. But for us, you find that legal services really cannot compete with free services. It's as simple as that. If you can get it for free, why should you want to pay? And especially when free is about the same quality as the services that you have to pay for, right? So a big, very, very big problem for us. And of course, now a lot of people store things in cyber lockers, except that other people can actually go to your locker and also get access and download the music or the movies that are stored in these lockers. So it makes the problem a lot worse. In the old days, if you buy one copy, a pirated CD, you store it in your house. You know, the distribution is restricted. Maybe somebody will copy, but it's still physical copies, right? Today it's in a locker, anytime, anywhere. You can get online, you can download. So this issue is really very troubling for us. Digital piracy undermines the growth of the licensed business. There are many people who want to run proper businesses, but you cannot compete when your neighbor is giving it away for free. It's as simple as that. Okay. Now the reasons. Why do people go for free? This is from we did a study. We have done a number of studies in a number of countries, and I'm sure Neil will also share with you in New Zealand, in Australia, and then in Singapore, and then the latest last year in Taiwan. Why do people watch free movies and why do they go online and watch pirated ones? Because it is free. 90% says because it is free. Top reason. Let me share with you music. Likewise, you will see 47% says because it is free. I think there is a difference between music and movies due to marketing factors, but you find that is the top reason people go. So you cannot compete with free. What about awareness? Because historically, some of you are aware, I've been doing copyright for over 20 years, right? And historically, when we talk with governments and we talk with public, some people will say, well, the public do not know what they are doing. So we, in the Taiwan survey, in the Singapore survey, we asked them, do you know what piracy is all about? Actually, you can see very clear. 81%, that means 8 out of 10 of the Taiwanese people tick it is stealing. So they know that piracy is not correct. They are stealing. Okay, so it's not that they don't know. I would say I agree that 20 years ago, you asked the same question. Yeah, a lot of people may not know what they are doing, but today the public is very much aware. And this ties in with the topic, right? Creating a moral society and developing the digital economy. This survey actually sums it all, the topic of our discussion this morning. 71% of the Taiwanese public surveyed say it is immoral, it's not the correct thing to do. So they know it is wrong. They know it damages creative industry, 74%. They know it leads to financial losses. They know it leads to job losses. So you can see the public is very, very much aware of what they are doing is not correct, it is immoral, and that it has a bad impact on the economy and on development of a digital economy. So I know that the Thai government is trying to push the whole concept of a digital economy. One aspect, if you cannot control this aspect, it is very, very difficult for you to grow a digital economy. Another complaint, because when I was lobbying the Singapore government for website blocking, one of them said, well, you know, we don't have legal options. Okay? Well, 74% actually of the people in Taiwan, and in Singapore it's less, 60-something%, actually say they know exactly where to go and get legal music. They don't have a problem. They know where to go. They know when they get to the Pirate Bay, it is illegal. Okay, when they go to iTunes, for example, it is legal. So, you know, it's not that they are unaware. The Taiwanese public is fully aware. 3/4 of the public knew where to go for legal materials. And as some of you will know, for the music industry, the latest song we make available. You go to iTunes, you go to Spotify, you go to any of these legal digital music services. Latest hits come out exactly the same time throughout the world. And this summer, we will in fact release globally music on a Friday. Okay, we're moving towards a Friday global release so that around the world, Friday, 1 minute past midnight, you can download the music in Thailand. 1 minute past midnight, you can download or stream the music in the US, in UK, everywhere around the world. All right, you can have your music available at Friday, 1 minute past midnight. So, the reason to say that you cannot get legal content online, as far as music is concerned, is clearly incorrect. Okay, so despite that whole picture, you can see, right? People know whether what they are doing is right or wrong. It's just like me, when I cross the road, when the red man is there, I know it's illegal, I still cross the road, for example. Okay, so I know it's wrong, I still do it. Likewise, you find that almost 75% of the Taiwanese people say, despite knowing everything, they still engage in piracy. Okay, they have engaged in piracy. Now it's down to about 57. So there is a drop. That means those people who know, they have changed their behavior. So of course we were interested to find out what caused you to change your behavior, right? Well, before we come to that, we asked them the question of, who do you think is responsible for changing this behavior? You know it's wrong, you know it causes damage, yet you do it. Who do you think should be responsible for changing this position? And very interestingly, you see, 35% actually says it's us. Each one of us is responsible for our own behavior. Very, very good, because that's the truth, right? At the end of the day. However, a good 20% of the respondents also say ISPs should be brought into the picture. In other words, ISPs, the gatekeepers, must have some responsibility. Then 12% actually say it's the government. The government should do something about it. So if you put these two together, you're looking at 32%, either ISP or government. Then when you throw in courts, which is 1% here, so you're looking about, you know, the public actually feels, 33% of the public actually feel it should be, apart from individual, it should be government, it should be ISPs, and it should be the courts. right? So that in total will bring you to 60, almost 70% of the respondents covering that area. So responsibility, who should improve, work to improve the situation. So as I said, we asked them, since some of you modified your behavior, you know, almost 75% say they have engaged in piracy in the past. Only 57% say they still do it, meaning there's an improvement. What caused you to stop? So 3 top factors, okay? Fear. Why don't they listen to music anymore? Because they fear that, well, they are not afraid of getting caught. They are afraid they will get viruses on the computers. And I'm sure you have experienced this before. Huh? Recently, I made a mistake. We are preparing for a court action in Singapore, website blocking court action. So I visited this pirate site. I shouldn't tell you which site. I visited this pirate site, and I made the mistake of downloading because I wanted to gather some evidence using my work computer. And my computer now is like, you know, is going a little bit funny. So I'm very certain some virus entered my computer, right? I should have used an anti-piracy computer that we have, you know, so, you know, it's protected from the rest. Okay, so I just made a mistake because I wanted some quick information. Viruses, okay? Awareness. So 75% say actually, since they are aware of the negative effect on the economy, they stop. 80% actually say it's because of guilt. They just feel it's not the right thing to do. Okay. So I've always used this slide to say there is still hope for the human race, right? There are people who actually feel guilty of what they do and stop doing what they are not supposed to do. Okay. And of course, the statistics for movies is down here. But then we ask, what do you think will be the quickest way, right? The most effective way to change the situation, the current situation we have? 30% of the people actually say that we gave them a list of options. 30% actually feel that means site blocking is the best way to solve the problem. To me, it reminds me a little bit of the situation with drug taking. It's like an addiction, and you know, of course, going on internet, playing video games is a bit of an addiction. I think a lot of people just feel a compulsion that they need to go and visit these sites, download the latest, you know, stream the latest and so on. And if you block them, then they stop because they can no longer get that. Okay? So site blocking, of course, fear for viruses, fines and penalties, exposure of children to high-risk ads, knowing someone. You can see all these are actually less of a concern to the pirates. Right? They feel that the best way you can solve the problem is actually through site blocking. And in the Taiwanese study, I didn't put a slide here, 67% of the people actually say go for site blocking. They will support site blocking. So it's a very high public support for site blocking. In Singapore, we were also surprised. Less than Taiwan, but something like, I stand to be corrected, I think it's 59 or 61% actually said block the sites. They will support site blocking. Okay? So, website blocking is effective to combat digital piracy. Okay? Now, we have found that this is really the best way. Most of these sites are based overseas. Okay? They are based, for example, in China, in the United States. You'll be surprised to learn that among the top 10 sites carrying pirated Chinese music, 4 of them are based in the United States. Okay? Right? And it has proven to be quite difficult for us to bring down the site. A Vietnamese music owner called Lan Van is bringing legal action in the United States against the biggest Vietnamese site, pirate site, based, operated from out of America. So you can see that, interestingly, and we have written to RIAA to take action. We have liaised with the US governments naturally to try to bring down this situation. Then, of course, we have a lot of pirate sites in China. Now, when these sites are based outside of Thailand, it contributes nothing to your economy. These sites are not, they are giving you music for free, they're giving you movies for free, but they are not, a lot of people advertise on it. They make hundreds of millions from advertisements, right? All that money is not coming to Thai people. So no contributions to the Thai economy. No one in Thailand is being employed. No taxes being paid to your government. So that, when you block the site, aside from fundamental human rights issue, which I will deal with, actually you are losing nothing when you block this site from the economic perspective, from the development of digital economy perspective. You are not only losing nothing, you are actually allowing Thai entrepreneurs the space to create a valid Thai music website, for example. Because Thai music, if you ask Kun Piset who is here, a lot of Thai music is available on Forshat, right? On sites that are based overseas. They are not based here in Thailand. But we cannot control these sites. So the only effective way for us is to block it so that the Thai music industry can grow. So laws or the courts in 19 countries now have required ISPs to block sites. So if Thailand makes this decision to proceed with website blocking involving intellectual property, involving copyright, you are not alone and you are not the first. There are already 19 other countries that have done it, either through court judgments or through express legal provisions in the law. And the blocking has been done at DNS level, at IP level, both one of the most effective ways, and mostly at the cost of the ISPs. Okay, so I deal with the issues as we talk about. So these are the countries that have Argentina, Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, France, Greece, Ireland, Italy, Mexico, Norway, Turkey, UK, India. So in Asia, we have India, Indonesia, Malaysia, South Korea, Singapore. Russia, I think the law will kick in 1st of May. And then the Australian government has announced that they will introduce legislation this year to provide for website blocking. So you can see that the list grows every year. Last year when I spoke at another event here in Thailand, I think it was 17 countries. So it's growing all the time. And of course, we hope that Thailand will be added to the list, and then we will have 21. So just on one particular site, the Pirate Bay, you find that the Pirate Bay right now blocked in 11 different territories now, and I will come back to the situation with Pirate Bay again shortly. Yeah? Is it effective? So let us look. If you look at this slide, the top red line shows you the countries without the blocks in the EU. The bottom line, the blue line, shows you the country with the block. So you can see immediately, and this shows the traffic, the number of users. You can see obviously the countries with the block, much lesser traffic going to the sites. Countries in EU without a block. So it's a huge difference. You're talking of, this is about probably 2.5 million to 20 million. Difference of about 15 million. It's a huge difference. Okay, so obviously when you block, the people who visit the Pirate Bay drops substantially. Okay, and I think the figures is actually there. You find that as at December 2013, a fall of 68%, but it actually climbed back up a bit. I think now it's running at about 55%, the latest 2014 figures. I don't have the updated figures with me as yet. I have until April, but we are hoping to update it till the end of 2014. Okay, so likewise, this is use of Pirate Bay. You'll find that BitTorrent usage also decreased 13% between January 2012, December 2013 in the countries with a block versus a 14% increase in the countries without a block. So you're talking of a difference of 27% between the countries with and without blocks. So I think, and this, okay, let me share with you another chart before I come to a conclusion on this point. Groove Shark was blocked in Denmark, and you find immediately from there it fell all the way down to here. Okay, and these are not statistics that we compile. Third-party companies, Comscore, they track usage independently, and we purchase the information from them. Okay, so you can find that obviously when you block a site, you are tackling, you can successfully and effectively reduce traffic to those sites that have been blocked. Okay, so a fall of 91% to one particular site. We have also blocked Groove Shark in Korea, and we are bringing action against Groove Shark in a number of other territories. So these are the usual arguments that have been raised against website blocking. They say firstly, of course, it infringes your fundamental right of freedom of information. Okay, first point. Second point, it says can it easily be circumvented. That means you can get around the block. Although the earlier two slides you can see actually tells you a different story. Yeah? And it is not effective, not proportionate to what you're trying to do. That means the outcome is worse than what you're trying to do, the problem you're trying to solve. Now, I will now share with you that the courts, particularly in Europe, of course, because they are at the forefront, they are at the front of this whole exercise. They have found, firstly, is consistent with human rights. Secondly, copyright itself is a fundamental human right that requires protection, and that it is effective even though it can be circumvented. So I'll deal with each point very quickly. I think the European Court of Justice in the Kino case, and I think my colleague will talk about this, so I won't go into too much detail. Basically, 3 points I want to make. Copyright itself is a fundamental right that requires a high level of protection. That is the judgment of the EU court. Blocking does not infringe an ISP's right to do business freely. Okay, that is because the right to do business freely is also contained in their Charter of Fundamental Rights. What about a user's right to freedom of information? Here, I think they said the injunctions must be strictly targeted so that they stop the infringement without unnecessarily depriving the consumer from the right to access to information. And I emphasize the point unnecessary. In other words, there is that necessary thing to do. Okay? And of course, provision that the user, if they want to, they can have a right of appeal. So if you think the site is wrongly blocked, then you appeal, and then you can have it unblocked, which actually has been happening in a couple of cases in Europe. So the cases have been going all the way to the Supreme Courts. Okay? So is it effective? I think the EU court said that, look, yes, of course, people will circumvent. Some of you may have heard me say this. I was formerly a police officer, so I'll tell you. When you are enforcing laws, you say it's illegal to rob. People still rob. Do we then throw away the laws against robbery? No. Yeah, of course, there will always be people breaking the law. So just because people can get around the law, that is not the basis for you to say this law is not effective, therefore we should not have that law. Okay? So naturally, when you have a block, people can always find a way around the block. But as the statistics I shared with you with Groove Shark and with the Pirate Bay shows, 80-90% of the public, the average public, even someone like me who is in this trade, as a rule, I don't bother to try and get around technical means. I mean, in Thailand, if I want to get to some site, I will sometimes get your block, block and saying you have no access to this site. I don't bother to search and go around. Okay? I go for the next best thing. That is the average consumer. So as a police, or the reason why I share with you this, as a ex-police officer, you will know, you first want to remove 80-90% of the public from engaging in the crime. then your resources can be properly devoted to the 10 or 20% that will break the law. Irrespective of what your law says, there are people who just want to be criminals. There are those who become criminals, out of circumstance. But, your resources are then devoted on the people who commit the crime. So I think that is the point. The law is in place. The average member of public don't visit the pirate site. We can then tackle the dedicated pirates. Okay. The courts have also found that, because remember, this is the European Court of Justice, so they are, in a sense, their judgments will bind the national courts. So they're saying national courts don't have to say how you should go about blocking, as long as it is reasonable and effective. All right. So, and I'll come back to this point. So they say not necessary for courts to say what measures, DNS, IP, whatever else that can be done. Okay, as long as it is carried out. The courts also came to the conclusion that it's really not very expensive. And the main reason, I'll come back to this reason again. Okay. So now let me share with you 3 or 4 examples of blocking in some countries. In France, end of last year, our French organization successfully applied to block the Pirate Bay. Okay. So the court simply said all appropriate measures to block. The court don't tell you how to block. All appropriate measures should be deployed to block the Pirate Bay and the proxies and the mirror sites. Method of blocking left to ISP's discretion. The court expressly rejected the argument that because the blocks can be gotten around or circumvented, that shouldn't be done, because the court then say that blocking is the only real effective way that right holders can use to address piracy in online environment. Okay. Now let us look at the UK and Spain. 63 websites have been blocked in the UK. So again, if you look, we are not going for thousands of sites. We're going for the major sites. Okay. 63 blocks with all their proxies. And I wanted to share with you actually the different kinds. These 21 BitTorrents, trademark sites, and then aggregator sites have been blocked. It is of course not the total 63, but the different kinds of sites that are being blocked. And then in Spain, at the end of last year, likewise blocking. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is, again, they asked access to be blocked, and then they also say search engines must delist the results linking to infringing sound recordings made available on the site. So for example, .se, .org, .net, .com domains and so on. Okay. So, and one final example for you in Argentina, the courts there ordered the blocking of 255 IP addresses and 12 domains. So just to share with you different things happening in different territories. In some of these countries, I have to let you know, of course, some of these orders are being appealed to the higher court. So it could on appeal. But in other cases, the ISPs have simply, in the UK especially, they've simply implemented it, and the whole system is working well. And you know that the UK recorded music industry is one of the fourth largest in the world. For a country so small to have such a huge impact on the music market. What about, so just a summary of the points. All right owners are asking is for copyright laws to apply in the online environment as they apply in the offline. Today, if I set up a store selling pirated physical CDs outside this building, the government will send police officers, they will seize my goods, they will send me to jail. All pirated goods. There is no good reason why when I move my store online, selling you now instead of 100,000 copies of physical CDs, I move online, I sell you 100 million song titles, I'm therefore not liable. It doesn't make sense, especially when my reach, if I make it available in Thailand, I can reach the world. I'm not reaching only the people who pass by this building. So you can see that the economic damage is a lot more serious. Yet there are people arguing, well, if you move in the online world, law shouldn't apply to you. Obviously incorrect. Okay? So here you can see we're just asking for the same laws to be applied. Nothing different. it doesn't threaten free speech. Okay, it doesn't threaten your right to access to information, right? But as I said, if this is a store selling illegal goods here, that store would have been taken away. So likewise, the digital store is taken away. It doesn't impact your freedom or your freedom of access to information. We are only tackling those sites that are dedicated to breaking IP laws. We're not interested. I know there are sites that have legal as well as illegal content. At the moment, I can tell you we're not interested in those sites because we have a lot other bigger fishes to catch. Okay, and we have blocked the Pirate Bay in more than 10 countries. Is the internet broken in the UK? Because at one time when we were starting this whole website blocking issue, people would say you are breaking the internet. The internet is not broken in the United Kingdom. It's not broken in France. These are all countries that are fighting, very, very firm in ensuring that the people have the fundamental human rights, right? So you find that internet has not broken in any of these countries where website blocking has been carried out. I'm coming to an end. I want to share with you this example of the Korean music industry. All of you know Korean music industry has been booming in recent years. Of course, government helping a lot, tax measures and so on. But we also want to highlight it is really because they have got very strong copyright laws. They are blocking sites. They have blocked 42 sites. This year, the beauty of Korea, we don't go to the government. Every year the government writes to us and say, this year, what new sites do you want to block? It's wonderful. Then we actually have to do research. Okay, what other sites should we block? Very active government, right? BitSnoop, all the top sites are being blocked. And these 5, as I said, they asked us this year, what problems do you have? So we give them 5 more sites. Torrents.eu, I think some of you may have visited, ZippyShare. Right? They also have a graduated response system in which if they find out, an individual user is getting on pirate sites, they will send you a notice. More educational than anything else. You say, please stop visiting the sites, and then they direct you to the legal sites. Okay? So I think this is an example of a country that has done very well. I didn't put, actually it's there. You see, whereas if you compare with the Thai recorded music industry, it's doing really, really badly. And we are struggling to try to grow the Thai music industry. And we really hope that the Thai music industry can grow in the coming years. Okay? So this is just some information about IFPI. We represent, of course, the recorded music industry globally. We fight piracy, and we try to improve the situation of recorded music worldwide. This will give you the site. If you go to this site, it lists over 500 sites globally, anywhere in the world, by countries. You click, you will get to the legal sites in those countries. So even in China, in Taiwan, in Thailand, we have a listing of all the legal sites. Click on those, you get to legal sites. And some of these services like Spotify, I'm sure you know, they actually offer you music for free, which is legal. So if you don't want to pay for your music, you can still go to legal sites that are legal. You do not have to go to an illegal site. So on that note, I thank you very much, and I'm be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you. ขอบคุณครับ
I'll wrap up that in Thai then. ค่ะ ก็เดี๋ยวสมโมจะขอ wrap up เป็นภาษาไทยนะคะ ก็สิ่งที่คุณอังพูดมาก็คือพูดถึงผลกระทบในสไลด์แรกๆนะคะพูดถึงผลกระทบว่ายอดขายของเพลงเนี่ยก็ลดลงโดยเฉพาะทางด้านฟิสิกอลส่วนหนึ่งเนี่ยเพราะว่าเราเปลี่ยนมาเป็นดิจิตอลแพลตฟอร์มถูกไหมคะแต่ว่าผลกระทบหลักจริงๆเนี่ยก็คือทางด้านpiracy นั่นเองเพราะว่าคนเนี่ยแทนที่จะจ่ายค่า subscription รายเดือนเนี่ยคือถึงค่า subscription มันจะไม่แพงแต่มันก็สู้ของฟรีไม่ได้อยู่ดีคือคนก็ไปฟรีนะคะพอจากการทำ study จากการศึกษาเองเนี่ยถามคนในไต้หวันเนี่ยรู้หรือเปล่าว่าใช้ของเถื่อนไม่ดียังไงส่วนใหญ่กว่า 80% รู้แล้วทำไมยังใช้ก็มันฟรีใช่ไหมคะมันฟรีคือทุกคนรู้ว่าเนี่ยหลังวันศุกร์มันก็จะมีเพลงมาให้ดาวน์โหลดใหม่ๆละทุกคนก็รอละอะไรอย่างเงี้ยแต่คือถามว่าทุกคนรู้ว่าของเถื่อนไม่ดีแต่ก็ยังใช้เพราะถามว่าใครควรจะเป็นผู้รับผิดชอบกับปัญหาเหล่านี้ 35% ตอบว่าก็คือตัวเราเองนะคะ 20% บอกว่าISP น่าจะเป็นผู้รับผิดชอบนะเพราะว่าเขาเป็นผู้รักษาประตูใช่ไหมคะเป็นเกตคีเปอร์12% บอกว่ารัฐบาลควรจะเป็นผู้รับผิดชอบนะคะถามต่อมาว่าแล้วทำยังไงถึงคุณจะเปลี่ยนพฤติกรรมก็บอกว่ากลัวอะไรไม่ใช่กลัวโดนจับกลัวโดนไวรัสนะคะอย่างที่คุณอังยกตัวอย่างว่าอยากพอดีเข้าไปหาข้อมูลอยากได้ข้อมูลด่วนๆก็ไปโหลดมาปรากฏไวรัสเข้ามาติดในเครื่องนะคะแล้วก็การมี awareness แล้วก็รู้สึกผิดนะคะวิธีแก้ไขที่เร็วที่สุดทำได้เลยที่คิดว่าเร็วที่สุด effective ที่สุดนะคะก็คือ 30% บอกว่าการมี site blocking นะคะซึ่งเขาก็เปรียบเหมือนการเลิกยาการติดยาติดเกมก็เลิกมันไปซะบล็อกมันซะเลยเข้าเล่นเกมไม่ได้หาซื้อยาไม่ได้คนก็ต้องเลิกไปเองถูกไหมคะนอกนั้นก็จะเป็นแบบกลัวไวรัสกลัวโดนปรับก็เป็นอีกเรื่องหนึ่งแล้วก็ซึ่งเซอร์ไพรส์มากจากผลการศึกษาเนี่ยหลายๆประเทศก็ให้การสนับสนุนไซต์บล็อกกิ้งด้วยซ้ำไปนะคะซึ่งมีณวันนี้เนี่ยมี19ประเทศแล้วที่มีกฎหมายเกี่ยวกับไซต์บล็อกกิ้งนะคะไม่ว่าจะเป็นบล็อกที่ระดับ DNS หรือที่ระดับIP นะคะซึ่งจากการทำเว็บไซต์บล็อกกิ้งเนี่ยทำให้ทราฟฟิกที่เข้าไปในเว็บไซต์เถื่อนเนี่ยลดลงอย่างเห็นได้ชัดก็จะมีการโต้เถียงบ้างเหมือนกันว่าละเมิดสิทธิส่วนบุคคลหรือเปล่ามันก็หลีกเลี่ยงได้ง่ายอยู่ดีอะไรอย่างเงี้ยแล้วก็มีประสิทธิภาพจริงหรือเปล่าซึ่งจากสไลด์เนี่ยจะเห็นว่าทางศาลใน EU เนี่ยก็บอกว่าก็ไม่ได้ละเมิดสิทธิขั้นพื้นฐานใดๆนะคะรวมทั้งไม่ได้ละเมิดสิทธิ์ของ ISP ด้วยซ้ำแล้วก็ถึงแม้ว่ามันจะหลีกเลี่ยงได้แต่ไซต์บล็อกกิ้งก็ถือว่าเป็น tools ที่มีประสิทธิภาพที่สุดอยู่ดีนะคะซึ่งอย่างฝรั่งเศสเนี่ยก็สั่งไซต์บล็อกกิ้งของ Pirate Bay เนี่ยศาลก็บอกว่าเพราะว่าการไซต์บล็อกกิ้งเนี่ยมันเป็นเครื่องมือที่มีประสิทธิภาพสำหรับผู้ถือสิทธิ์ในการต่อต้านการละเมิดออนไลน์แล้วก็ยังมีคำถามอีกว่าถ้ากฎหมายสำหรับกฎหมายลิขสิทธิ์ในบ้านเราเนี่ยถ้าเขาไปเปิดแผงขาย CD DVD ข้างตึกเนี่ยมันผิดกฎหมายอยู่แล้วตำรวจต้องมาจับเขาแน่นอนทำในลักษณะเดียวกันถ้ามันอยู่บนออนไลน์เขาก็เห็นว่าที่จริงๆกฎหมายลิขสิทธิ์ก็ควรจะใช้ได้ในสังคมออนไลน์เช่นเดียวกันนะคะแล้วก็ยกตัวอย่างของเกาหลีขึ้นมาว่ารัฐบาลเกาหลีเนี่ยมีประสิทธิภาพมากบล็อกเว็บไซต์ไป42เว็บไซต์ละโดยที่ไม่ต้องร้องขอโดยไม่ต้องมีการร้องขอจากเจ้าของสิทธิ์ด้วยซ้ำรัฐบาลถามเองเลยมีปัญหาอะไรไหมอยากให้บล็อกเว็บไซต์ไหนไหมส่งลิสต์มาแบบเนี้ยเป็นก็เป็นสิ่งที่เจ้าของสิทธิ์แฮปปี้นะคะค่ะมีคำถามไหมคะไม่มีเบรก10 นาทีนะคะ10:15 กลับเข้ามาในห้องนี้นะคะเชิญรับประทานกาแฟอาหารว่างเลยค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ